All right, here we go. Hey, thanks for stopping by and checking it out with Pago. Hey, I hope things have been going well for you this week. I hope God's just been opening up doors and just blessing you. And if he hasn't, well, I guess we stopped by for the right message today. Hey, you know what? Check this out. Sometimes we feel like everything we do is in vain. Everything we do is pointless. Sometimes we feel like we're useless. Sometimes we find ourselves in the dumpsters of life. And hey, that's what I want to talk to you about today. Last week, I found myself in the dumpster myself. And I mean a physical dumpster. There I was unloading some material at the dumpster, and next thing you know, I'm pulling some stuff out and boom, I fly backwards and I fall in the bottom of the dumpster. And at that moment, I hit the bottom of the dumpster. There wasn't nothing in it. I fell 10 feet, boom, smack dab in the bottom of the dumpster. And I run over to the side and I climb up out of there. And I got out of there faster than what I went in. Sometimes in life, we get thrown in the dumpster. Sometimes we feel like, well, it's all pointless. Sometimes we feel like we don't know what our calling is. We don't know what our direction is. Sometimes we feel like we're just no good. In that terms, we feel like a piece of trash. And sometimes we just throw ourselves away. And that's exactly what I did. I threw away a perfectly good Mexican last week. Boom, bottom of the dumpster I went. But you know what? I climbed out of that dumpster. And sometimes in life, what happens to us in our spiritual walk is we get beat up. We get beat up at work. We get beat up on the road. We get beat up by our friends, our family, by anybody. Sometimes we get beat up by the enemy himself. See, that's what his job is. His job is to come in to rob, kill, steal, and destroy. And that's what he wants to do. So whatever you've been going through this week, that's probably what it is. And maybe it's not. Maybe you're just being tested. And the enemy's coming in and telling you, yeah, God don't care about you. He left you behind. He threw you in the dumpster. Heck, he threw you under the bus. You tore up from the floor up. That brings me to this cat I know by the name of Job. We all know him, and if we don't know him, I suggest you grab your Bible and read up on him, because that cat was put through the ringer. He had to feel like he was thrown away. First, he had everything. He had a good life. He had all the cattle and all the donkeys. He had everything, man. For back then, he was sitting pretty well. He was a God-fearing man. And one day, the enemy comes along, has a conversation with God. Long story short, God says, all right, go ahead, but watch, my boy will prevail. He won't give up. He knows who his daddy is. He knows I'm going to take care of him. The only deal was, God told him, touch not my anointed. Don't lay a hand on him. So the enemy comes, takes all his oxen, all his donkeys, his camels, his livestock, took everything. Killed all his servants but a couple of them so they can bring the message to him that, hey, you know what, dude, you've been wiped out. Next thing you know, if that wasn't bad enough, servant comes and tells him, hey, sorry to tell you this, bro, but your daughters and sons were at your eldest brother's house. Big wind came up, whoop, house blew in on them, they all died. Job still didn't give up. Now, he must have felt like he was thrown under the bus, but you know what? He praised God. Next thing you know, enemy comes up, devil comes up, says, yeah, that's just things of the world. Hey, let me touch him. Let me afflict the flesh. God says, all right, cool, go ahead, because my homeboy is still going to prevail. He knows who his papa is. He says, but you can't kill him. Touch his flesh, but you can't kill him. So what's the devil do? Hooks Job up with a bunch of boils from his feet up to his head. Painful sores. He couldn't sit, he couldn't walk. I mean, he was in agony. Now, Job, at that moment in his life, He felt like he was thrown in the dumpster. There he was in the bottom of it, crying out to God. He was mad. He was upset. But he never took God's name in vain. He never cursed God. He just praised him. But yet he cried out to him. He was in pain. He was struggling. And sometimes that's what we got to do. When we're going through the trials of life, don't walk away from God. Look towards him. Look towards your Father. If you're in the dumpster today, all you have to do is stick your hand up, and your Father will reach down, and he'll grab your hand, and he'll pull you up out of that dumpster. That's what he did for Job. See, Job never gave up on God. He may have said, hey, cursed be the day I was born. Cursed be that date forever in history. He was rightfully mad. He had righteous anger. But he never cursed God. He always cried out to him. And that's what we should do. We should just cry out to him. Eventually, God reached down in that dumpster, grabbed Job's hand, and pulled him out. And he restored him. He restored him back to where he was. As a matter of fact, he restored him twice of what he was before. I mean, he gave him 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, 1,000 donkeys, 7 sons, and 3 beautiful daughters, most beautiful in the land. Job was restored fully. And that's what I want. When I'm having a day, when I feel like I'm in the dumpsters of life, I just want to have the faith of Job. I just want to cry out, Abba, Father, save me. Pull me up out of these pits. And I'll tell you what, if you reach your hands up to him and you trust in him, he'll pull you up out of that pit faster than what you fell in. So whatever troubles you're going through this week, or what you've been going through, or what might happen, don't ever give up. Don't ever not have faith. Don't ever not know that your daddy's there to pull you up out of that dumpster of life. We don't have to live in it. Sometimes it stinks. Sometimes it sucks. But if you always look towards your Father and look for his hand, it'll be right there to pull you up out of that dumpster. And the cool thing is, when he pulls you up out of that dumpster, he's going to bathe you and cleanse you. And he'll purify you. He loves you. He wants to restore you to what you once were. He wants to bring you up and beyond. He wants to give you all the things that your heart desires. Just as I love my children, I want to give them everything that they need. Not everything that they want, but everything that they need. I want to protect them. I want to guide them. I want to show them the way. That's all your Father in heaven wants to do. He wants to protect you. He wants to guide you. He wants to show you the way. He wants you to feel loved. He wants you to feel happy. He wants you to feel secure. So when you're in that dumpster, hey, just stick your hands up. He'll be there to pull you out. So I just pray this week that you will stretch your hand out to the hand that's stretched out to you. And not only stretch your hands out to God, but stretch your hands out to those that are lost this week. Stretch your hand out to the homeless. Stretch your hand out to the widow. Stretch your hand out to those that are lost in this world. Whether it be somebody at work, have compassion on somebody. Because bottom line is, God has compassion on you, and his hands are outstretched to you. So, hey, until next week, as my grandfather always said, vaya con Dios. I love you guys, and thanks for stopping by.